Right, morning guys. I don't know if any of you are online yet, but this is the live recording of the podcast. We had a few goes at live recordings yesterday and it worked pretty well. So I thought today we'd live broadcast the podcast we've got arranged with Ronnie. So, first thing first, Ronnie, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you.
Cool. Now, a lot of you watching this live and listening to it at a later date will know a certain amount about Ronnie's story because we mentioned it in some of the emails. He nearly always talks at the briefing meeting and explains a bit about his story then. But even that's only a snapshot. It's a handful of minutes worth of 49 years worth of life and experience and story and what have you. So hopefully we'll go a bit more depth, find out a few more interesting things about Ronnie today. But starting first things first, as we generally do on these podcasts, Ronnie, we first met you a year and a half ago now, wasn't it? The late August 2014 briefing meeting.
It was.
So tell us a little bit, it was you and Ronnie Jr. Came to that meeting. Tell us a little bit about where you both were at that point.
I was terribly overweight. I had been even heavier. In the March of that year, I weighed 18 stone 3. Money. I went on what was my preferred diet at the time, which was a cereal diet, as opposed to like the Special K diet, which you're speaking about. Mine was cereal. I'd just go out and buy 10 different boxes of cereal and live on it for a month, that and gallons of milk. Right. And that's all I'd eat, and that'd work. Yeah. And I thought that was great, because I lost like 2 stone fairly easily. In fact, I lost 3 stone, I went down to nearly 15 stone. And then we went away on holiday in June, and I put a lot more weight back on, and I just couldn't shift it. But I've learned subsequently since then that obviously all I was losing was muscle, and not really.
So was that a creation of your own?
Yeah, just me.
You should patent it.
Yeah.
Call it the Ronnie cereal diet, and charge people to buy some cheap cereal from Tesco for £1 a box, sell it on for 20 quid with your picture on the front, your before and after, and that's what most people do in this industry, you see. And that's the thing is, pretty much every weight loss method does work short term. There's no getting around it. If you're doing something that involves you eating less energy and burning off more, it will work for an amount of time, but obviously it's not necessarily sustainable. So you and Ronnie Jr. nearly missed the briefing meeting, didn't you? So what happened there?
Just life in general, it was just hard. Plus it's a long way for us to come. But we decided to come and give it a go. And initially, about 5 years previously, I'd been relatively fit. We used to go to the gym every day, mainly me and Pam, and just cardio on the treadmills, on the cross trainers and so on. And I thought by coming in and doing the 8-week challenge, it might give me that boost to then go back in the gym.
Sure.
You know, I thought, well, it's a long way to come. Never really been to Macclesfield before, apart from Pruitt. So I thought, it's a long way to come, so use the 8 weeks, get on top of it, and then go somewhere else. And there I am, 18 months later.
Yeah, awesome stuff. So obviously your first challenge went well. You took 24.5 pounds in your first challenge. Yeah. How did you find the whole experience of those 8 weeks?
I thought the first 2 weeks, I was walking out of here, I thought, even after, because the induction meeting back then was slightly different. The induction meeting then, we did like a 15-minute session to teach us squats and everything else and press-ups. And I walked out of here, then I could hardly walk. And for the first 2 weeks, I thought, I'm too old for this. I just cannot do this. Every bone in my body ached. I was going home, having a hot shower, hot bath, cold shower, just to be able to move around the house. So I was so achy and in pain.
And that's the least in part because you're a man, Ronnie, because for the first 2 weeks we tell everyone to take it easy, to go at 30 to 40% of max effort. And I should imagine you going at maybe like 80% or more.
No, probably going about 65%, well, being honest.
Even that's twice as the 30% we told you to.
But I was in a ridiculous amount of pain and everything. I was taking anti-inflammatories and all sorts. I didn't realise until about the third week, the end of the third week, that somewhere in that beginning of the third week to middle of the third week, I'd stopped hurting so much. But even now, if I go crazy, I'll hurt. You know, my legs still hurt. I still walk out with like jelly sometimes, and especially now I do a lot of triple R sessions. I find my legs really hurt sometimes for days on end. This last 2 months have been particularly hard on my legs. And sometimes the exercise I'm doing on Monday, my legs are still hurting by the time I'm doing the next one on a Friday.
It's a nice pain though, isn't
it?
Yeah,
because I know I'm achieving something. I know why it's hurting now and what it's achieving. But yeah, those first 2.5 weeks, I just didn't think my body was capable.
Well, that's one of the main reasons why we do an 8-week challenge, because most places you might do a free week or even a free day, and after 1 week you'd have been sore. You wouldn't looked much different, maybe a fraction, wouldn't have felt really any different. It'd probably just be the right amount of stuff to put you off.
Yeah.
You think never again. But after 8 weeks, obviously you'd adapted to that, got used to it, and looked and felt very different. So you said 3rd week onwards started to get a bit more used to it.
I think what also helped as well with us in particular, and we're quite unique because of how far away we live. So it takes, we was coming in the evenings, and it was taking a massive chunk out of our day, because obviously then it's taking us nearly an hour to get here, 40 minutes to get home, plus the session. And there always seemed to be something in life that was stopping us. We always managed pre-sessions, but when we was getting to the 3rd week and 4th week, we wanted to do a bit more because we was feeling okay, but we couldn't, because we kept telling them to do like a Thursday and a Friday, or a Monday, a Friday and a Saturday morning, just to make sure we did the pre. And it was a struggle, so we decided to switch it up and go to the 6:30 it was at the time.
Yeah.
And that changed it dramatically, you know, because it takes us 20 minutes to get here in the morning, half hour to get home.
Got a request to say they can't quite see us there. We need to get further away. We move back a bit.
Yeah. So we changed it to the 6:30 session because it was 6:30, 7:30.
Yeah.
And that was a big change for us and a big improvement, because it meant we could get up, not think about it, dash here, get a session done, and it wasn't taking a massive chunk out of our day, so that we still had evenings to do things and do the family thing and everything. And since then, I've never looked back. I've loved it.
How do you find getting up that early?
It's never been a problem for me.
No?
I've always, as a baby, my mum hated me because I was hyperactive. I slept for 4 hours a night, but it was 15 minutes here, half hour there, and I'd be up for an hour and a half. Wanted to probably rattle about. So I've never slept well.
Yeah.
So it's my brain that's hyperactive, not my body. So getting up at that time's never been a problem. My alarm is set on my watch for 5:15, and I wake up at 5:15 every morning and turn it off and get up and sit waiting for the rest.
So obviously yourself and Ronnie Junior started in the September. Did your challenge in September, October? Pam started then in the October, presumably a month later?
No, Pam didn't start till about
later still?
But after Christmas last year.
Okay.
It was about February she started.
Right, good stuff. And obviously having the 3 of you then. So at no point you've had all 4 of you coming out?
No point at all, but it's been close.
Yeah.
But no, because Pam got a little bit ill and had to leave, so I went back down to the 2 of us.
And Ben started.
Ben started, and then Ronnie left at Christmas, and then Pam's just come back. So there's always been 2 or 3 of us.
One day we'll get all 4.
One day you won't get all 4. I'll slap him one day.
Cool, good stuff. So you've mentioned before in the meetings and what have you that was the... Oh, it's gone dark. Why has it gone dark? For you guys watching at home anyway on this, if you want to start asking any questions, then feel free to post them below and we'll get to them at some point. I don't know why it keeps going dark. Anyway, so you'd mentioned anyway you lost the weight, the 24.5 pounds in the September, October, and then you levelled off a bit for Christmas.
For Christmas. I didn't put any weight on, which surprised me. I stayed at whatever it was then, 90 kilos or whatever it was, at that point. And then January came along. What I hadn't realised then, which I know a lot more about now, is that I hadn't put any weight on, but I'd lost a lot of condition. I felt when we come back in January for the sessions, I felt a lot weaker, even though I'd been in here and all over Christmas decorating the place. And that nearly killed me. That was hard work. You know, all Rich, you was there as well. So that I didn't have a lot of time off, but when I came back, I felt the difference. I felt like I'd lost a lot of condition, so I thought, right, get stuck in again, and went a little harder again, and did another challenge.
I remember that second challenge as well, because I think it was towards the end of it, probably the February time, you were starting to feel a bit lightheaded and dizzy.
Yeah,
we were concerned that maybe you were overdoing it, but actually it turned out to be something else, didn't it?
Yeah, it was blood pressure medication. I've been on blood pressure medication 12 years or so. It took them 2.5 years to get it so that they knew what drugs was on, because they kept trying different combinations. Ended up on 2 different drugs that worked eventually and kept my blood pressure down. And when I thought about it, I realised it was them that was doing it to me. It was bringing my blood pressure down still, but I didn't need to.
Yeah.
It was right. And I had to go several times to the doctors and the nurses and that and get it checked and everything. And eventually the doctor said, no, you're doing great, get off it all.
Yeah.
And I had medication for gout as well, which I haven't took for over a year.
So how high was your blood pressure at its highest?
Oh, I can't remember, it was really high, it was like, I don't know, I can't remember, it was 140 over 110 or something, it was bad.
And it's down now to sort of 120 over 80-ish, as it should be.
Sometimes like 110 over 75.
So, and then obviously in that second challenge, was it 25.5 pounds in that second challenge? Yeah. So at that point, you were the first person to do 2 challenges.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And then you've continued on since then. And I feel probably after that second challenge, that was probably when you took a bit of a shift from it being about the weight loss to more. I think it had been going on for a while, that shift anyway, but now you're a lot more about the strength, the conditioning, the performance, etc. So tell us about that change in your mindset over that time.
Well, I became, like everyone says here, once you've lost that amount of weight, and I went from a 2XL shirt and a 40-inch waist down to a 32-inch waist and a medium shirt.
When was the last time you were 32-inch waist?
About 17, 18. I think when I was in the army when I was 18.
Brilliant.
So I was happy at that point. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve, but for a man of my years at that time, 48 I think it was. And I thought, right, I'm happy with this now, I look reasonably well. I don't want to concentrate, because I'm regarding the food, which I think new people have to be really strict with and get their heads around a lot more. I'm more about now, at this point, sustainability. Yeah. I want to be able to eat like this for the rest of my life. So I know we could go on a lot of stories you see about the third and the other third of which only are. But I don't do none of that anymore. With me, all my meals are just meat and veg, some nuts maybe. It's just a balanced meal. It doesn't have to be perfect proportions, because I know I've got to do this for the rest of my life. If I have a mixed grill, then that's heavy protein, you know, if I go out and have a mixed grill. But I won't have the chips with it, I'll just have extra veg. So it's not balanced, but it's still all real good food. Because I know I've got to do that for the rest of my life. It's not like a choice. It's not like a quick fix diet. It's not like my cereal diet with the picture on the box, you know.
Yeah. That's definitely where I want people to get to, because I answered this only in the live Q&A last night, that the third is more of a direction to move in. So for most people, they were more like 80-10-10 to start with, and then maybe it takes a little bit of tracking and counting your macros essentially and what you're doing to start with. Once you've got your head around it, even on your most off days, I bet you won't be as far away from a third of each as perhaps you were before you even started. Like you said, it's getting the mindset, and I don't record what I eat or track it as such, but I bet I don't go much away from maybe a 30-30-40 or even maybe like a 25-30-45. It won't be massively outside of those numbers. And like I said, that's more sustainable. Yeah.
It's more long term. That's my ultimate goal, because I know I'm never going backwards now. You know, I put a T-shirt on the other day that cost me a lot of money, and it looked like a tent, so it went in the bin, and it was only a large. You know, so it went in the bin. Just took it off, put it straight in the wheel bin outside.
Won't be needed.
It won't be needed. It never be needed again. You know, and I've done that with loads of stuff. You know, just get rid of it, because I'm never going to wear it again.
I like it.
It won't fit Ben, and it's too small for Ronnie. So.
Well, Ronnie might need it.
Might need it
soon,
one day.
You
never know.
Or we get back.
Whether my fashion suits him or not, it's a different matter.
Well, that's perhaps more the point. Perhaps the point of wearing your dad's shirt, whatever it looks like.
No, I've had nightmares for the last 5 years with them, because I like my clothes and that, and always things going missing.
Pinching stuff, are they?
Yeah, both of them.
That's a compliment, I suppose.
Yeah.
No offence to my dad, I probably wouldn't pinch any of his stuff. But, cool. So, as with a couple of the previous podcast interviews, last September you did Born Survivor, so that was pretty much a year and a few weeks. He's got his Born Survivor t-shirt on for everyone who's watching at home. And pretty much again, same as the other guys have mentioned, and I know that Ronnie of a year prior to that wouldn't have even dreamed of watching the video, let alone entering and whatever. Tell us about your experience with Born Survivor.
Well, with Born Survivor, I didn't know what to expect, and I booked it without even looking at any videos, because I used to do a lot of assault courses when I was in the army. And the two things I loved when I was in the army was shooting and assault courses. But I was 18, 19, 20, so. So I thought, well, that would be a good benchmark of where I'm up to. And then I signed up for it, looked at the videos, and, well, crap, what we've done. And even on the day, when I was still on the start line, with a load of newer ninjas than me, who was petrified, I was very nervous as well. And when we set off running, we run to the first obstacle, and for some reason the organisers made that a really long.
It was quite a trek to the first one, wasn't it? I kept thinking we missed it or something.
I kept thinking, what's going on here? I thought I was doing obstacles, it's going to kill me this, because I hate running. I once run 34 miles for charity, which is great, it's longer than a marathon, but that was a long, long time ago. But I've never liked running. That was one thing I hated when I was in the army, was running. You've got to do it, you've got to hit certain goals to be fit enough, but I hated it every time. And we're running down there, I thought, no, that's enough. But, to be fair, once we got to the first obstacle, and I was a little bit ahead of the rear pack, the front runners, Andy and that lot, gone, like rockets. But I got to it, and it was one with a wall that you've got to hang on over water. I just looked at it, I thought, no, I'm too short for them posts, and I just jumped in the water and got wet, because again, a lot of it from your army training is if you're going to get wet straight away, because then you're wet and cold and you don't think about it again. Yeah. Whereas water seeps in slowly, it's a horrible feeling. I just dove in and got out the other side, and everyone else come along, and I was waiting to have like Amy and that across, and you was there and John was there and that. And I helped everyone out and went round the bend, and you've got to go in the water then, so I think the choice was right, you've got no choice. The first obstacle's a two-parter, and the second part of it, you're in the water.
What would you say to anyone watching this stroke listening who's thinking about joining our Born Survivor team this September?
Get it done, because it doesn't matter how bad you are. There was a couple of people last year that really struggled, and that's what made... That's I think in a lot of ways, those people struggling made it more fun, because there was a group of like 10 or 12 of us that stuck together and helped them along, but they helped us along as well. So people that... And I'll be at the back again this year, I know, because I still ain't running just as much. And, we'll be there to help anyone who can't do it. And they will. It's not that they can't do it, even that's not even a point. Everyone can do it.
Definitely.
The lad overtook me in a wheelchair, so...
Well, that's the thing that I put on last year. I think last 2 or 3 years, I think it's the same guy been doing it, who does the whole thing in a wheelchair. Obviously he has his mates there to help him and push him and lift him and whatever, but if he can do it, surely anyone who's got use of their legs should be able to do it. And what I keep saying to people who think they might not be able to do certain obstacles, it's worst case scenario, you can walk around the odd obstacle.
Yeah. I walked around one.
Which one was that?
The one where I smacked my face when I jumped around
I smacked your face, Ronnie, that was my fault. There was one where you have to run up an increasing incline and then reach up and either grab the top wooden lip, or if you've got someone hanging down, grab hold of their arm. And I rather foolishly thought it'd be a good idea to hang off the top lip and offer my arm out to help Ronnie and other people up, little realising that when he ran up and grabbed my arm, that then pulled me off, and I unfortunately landed on top of Ronnie. He was fine though.
Yeah, it's fine.
And if you're going to hit Ronnie anyway, his head's probably the best place.
Yeah, it's the emptiest place, the least damage.
I've got a new target for Born Survivor, so 25 or so of us did it last year. Initially I said I wanted 50 for this year, but we were getting way towards that within literally 24 hours, so I reset a new target of 100. But I was only thinking this morning, I think it would be awesome if the biggest get-together of ninjas that we've ever had was a Born Survivor. Yeah. So the year before last, Christmas 2014, we had 103 people to the Christmas do, which was brilliant. Last Christmas just gone, we beat that with 105. But the thing with that, great as that was, is that's a night out. It's food and alcohol and all that, and getting people to food and alcohol isn't necessarily the hardest thing in the world, shall we say. But getting even more people to come and do something like Born Survivor, I think would be awesome. Yeah. So my minimum target is 106 for Born Survivor. But I think we can beat that as well.
I think we'll smash it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. I understood why you wanted to get people involved. But we didn't really start planning it or anything until about April last year.
No.
And we had a lot of new ninjas that started around April that joined in. We haven't got to that point, obviously, yet. We've got another 2 months of inductions yet to get people through the door that they might want to do it. So I don't think it'll be a problem.
We're on 80 as of yesterday. I've spoken to 2 people this morning who said they're going to do it. So that's 82, so no problems.
Get it done. Honestly, you'll love it. You'll love it.
So obviously, Born Survivor is one particular example of the physical changes that you underwent over that time frame. What else have you noticed in terms of what's the new Ronnie capable of?
Well, I've always been quite a confident person. but it has boosted my confidence a lot. I've got a few goals in mind, one of which is a parachute jump, which
Okay, awesome.
started on, and then Kirsty got one, so she's doing one. Now, it might not be in the next 6 months, but I want to do one. It's something I've always fancied doing, so I want to do that. And any sort of challenge, really. I just want to push myself a little and enjoy it. You know, one thing I'm doing this year is I'm definitely having Born Survivor night off. Last year I had to dash away,
and
go straight to work and do a 12-hour shift straight away, right through the night, which I was in such a mess. I was aching everywhere. I was caked in mud. I had to have 3 showers just to get out and get to work. But I missed the after party, you know, which was gutted. Which that won't happen again.
I've got some good plans for the after party this time. Last year we just met up in the pub, which was still awesome, but this year I've got a proper after party planned.
What we want is a pub with some long straws, so you can just put your drink down and you're not going to hold it.
That would help, yeah. Maybe we run a tap from the pump behind the bar to our table, so we don't have to stand up either. Anyone going to be joining you for the parachute jump, Ben, or anyone like that?
Not so far, no. It's just one of the things I want to do. Obviously a tandem one, because I've never done one before. But it's just something I fancy.
That's the thing, when I did mine a year or so ago, I did the tandem one, because you can do that, literally turn up, have half an hour training, and you can do that straight away, whereas the one where you do static line, you need 2 whole days of training, and also you only free fall for like 100 metres until the line goes tight and pulls you shoot. So to me that didn't seem as good. I'd love to be able to do one completely by myself and have a full free fall, but that is so much training that it didn't seem worthwhile. And the tandem
probably got to have so many tandem jumps anyway to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome, yeah. Well, one thing that amazed me, and it's obviously a good thing, is to become an instructor you have to have done 800 individual jumps, which is brilliant. That shows obviously their experience, but that must take quite a long time to do.
I think it's the thrill of it is knowing that, you know, you're jumping out of a perfectly good aeroplane. So you are literally then putting your life
in
on
their
the line.
hands.
If it don't work, you know, anything can fail. And there you go. I was nervous on the start line of Born Survivor, so I don't want to be like hanging my legs out of that plane. But I'm going to give it.
It's when you stick your legs out. That's when I was flying up. I was obviously a little bit apprehensive, but when you actually open the door, you shuffle to the edge, and there's nothing between you and the ground, which is 2.5 miles below you. At that point, you are starting to question your sanity.
Yeah.
But you have to look at the stats. I think it's literally safer than crossing the road. I think the proportion of people that die doing parachute jumps is such a low percentage that, like I said, you're safer than crossing the road. But when you're facing 2.5 miles straight down to fields and roads and stuff, that perhaps doesn't quite help appease the thought process. It's too late by then, though. Yeah. You're already up there, and I'm sure if you insisted, they'd let you back in the plane, but it's not going to happen. No. Cool, so that runs you through sort of last September. What else did you do last year? I'm trying to think of any of the things that you did that, again, the Ronnie of old perhaps wouldn't have done. What socials are you coming skiing next weekend?
No, I'm working. Well, I didn't realise the social was on Sunday. It was always on a Saturday, so I always end up missing it. But I might rearrange my plans. No, I won't. Just put one.
Oh, fair enough. Priorities.
League Cup final.
Yeah, normally, obviously, socials on a Saturday daytime. Unfortunately, we've got a family internment. Alex's grandma and uncle and granddad being interred on Saturday, so we've moved the skiing to the Sunday because mainly I want to go. I don't want to miss out, and also it doesn't work so well if none of us are there. You also need someone there to make sure it happens properly.
That's one thing I do miss out on. Before I went back to working in the office. Even then, the socials was hard work because you can either come and go home at 10:30 on the train, or you've got to come and not drink and not get involved. So I've tended to miss a lot of socials apart from the Christmas parties. We went laser quest once and things like that. But that's one thing I have missed out on a little. But I must try harder at.
You could stay in the Travel Lodge. Yeah. Did you get a taxi back after the Christmas do?
Yeah, I arranged it with lads who works for me. Trying to pick us up and bring us back at 3:30 in the morning. We was the last one standing. You
were, weren't you? Yeah, I think I left about 1:30 and you guys, all 4 of you, are still going. Bless you. So in terms then of the changes you made, you've obviously made a lot of changes to your eating, your training, etc. I know one thing that you're still less good at, which you mentioned 20 minutes or so ago, is the sleeping side of it. Yeah. Has that improved at all since you started here, or much the same, would you say?
Much the same. And it's got worse since I went back to the office. because I'm working some really strange shifts. Sometimes I don't get until midnight. Friday night, Saturday morning, I don't get until nearly 4 o'clock in the morning. This Sunday I didn't get until 9:30 in the morning. So that messes me up, and I feel physically tired then on a Monday when I'm getting up at 5 to come and train.
Yeah.
But
it's hard, isn't it?
Sometimes it's got to be done. You know, I went the other way. The reason I was working from home was because of the work-life balance that we all want to achieve. But you can do that, but you can only do it so long before the washer starts breaking down and you're struggling to afford to fix it, or you can't, like me, run the car into the back of a truck and you can't afford to fix it and things like that. And you have to then readdress it. And I dare say I'll stick at this now for a few years, and then I'll probably go backwards a little bit and readdress my work-life balance again. It's just what you have to do.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, we often talk about the effects of sleep and all that, and whilst it would be good if we could be doing things that enable you to sleep better, and that would help with the results, the fact that you're doing everything else that you can to a large degree will make up for that. Yeah. I think the problem arises when people aren't sleeping well, they're also stressed, they're not training effectively, they're eating rubbish, drinking too much. Between all those different things, that's quite a combination. You've really got...
That's one thing I learned pretty early on, really, is that how badly, because we always talk about 1 glass of wine and 2 glasses of wine and all that, and I heard your conversation yesterday, well, 1 glass won't hurt you, but I've never had 1 glass of wine.
Well, exactly, yeah. I struggle with 1 glass of wine.
I've struggled limiting myself to 1 bottle of wine, so I don't tend to drink as much as I used to. I've drunk twice since Christmas. When I have, it's been proper, ended up on the whiskey at 4 in the morning, but I don't drink half as much because I realise it wipes me out for a week.
Yeah.
My training goes out the window, my eating goes out the window for the first day or so. But also my results go backwards, and I've wasted that week. That week I might have trained hard all week, been in here 5-6 times, a few PBs, and then I've gone home on the weekend, on the Sunday or something, had a couple of bottles of wine and that, and I've gone backwards. So, and also I think age is a massive factor. I know you're always saying that there's nothing that I can't do that a young person can do. It's just going to be harder.
Yeah.
But it is a lot harder.
Oh, yeah.
So knowing that, at first I was a bit annoyed about that, but knowing that now, I just adjust things so that I do.
And it's about accepting the balance that you're happy with as well. So we often say that we're not monks. I drink and occasionally. Yeah. You need to get that balance that you're happy with, because if you were doing stuff that you weren't overall happy with, you'd be able to do it for as long as you had the willpower and were able to resist temptation and what have you. But eventually, you probably go back to old habits. If you've got a balance there that you're happy with, which it sounds like you are, like you said before, that's hopefully maintainable for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And I'm much the same with my drink, and I can quite happily not have a drink. Sometimes, days, weeks on end, but as soon as I have one, it ends up being
enough.
Several, shall we say. Yeah. Enough, that's a good way to put it. So guys who are watching this live on Facebook, if you've got any questions you want to ask Ronnie, post them below. We'll just chat for a few more minutes, but just give you the opportunity now to post your questions. Just simply reply, as you normally would do under any post under this video, with anything you'd be interested to hear about from Ronnie. Just while we're waiting for a few questions to come through, you're obviously a City fan, aren't you, Ronnie?
Yep.
Yeah, how's that going for you nowadays?
All right, it's pretty good.
Yeah, you're a lot better than you used to be.
I was a City fan then as well.
Well, yeah.
I used to live in Moss Side, around the corner from the football ground, so I grew up literally playing football with the City players, because I used to train around the corner on Platt Lane, and we used to walk past our house to get back to the ground, and every day they used to have a kick about with us.
Right, cool. So what sort of, was that in what, the 70s that had been?
Yeah, in the 70s.
Who were the big players back then?
John Connigan, Colin Bell, people like that.
You wouldn't get that nowadays, would you? Even
now, even though they've got a massive complex, and I like to take them by coach from one place to the other.
Well, I know they often put the City players up in the Hilton, don't they, in Manchester the night before a game, and I've been told the major reason for that is to stop them doing stupid stuff. So they literally have a babysitter there to make sure they don't set any fireworks in the room, get hammered, etc. And you'd think when you get paid £100 a week or whatever it may be, you'd think you could be sensible the night before a game, but perhaps not.
I think it shows a lot of them. The young lads, and they stay young lads because they've never had to grow up.
Well, yeah.
They've plucked out of school at 8, 9, 10-year-old, going to the academies and that, and then they never actually had to grow up and get a real job around, so they're still childish till they're like 24, 25.
I'd probably do the same thing, to be honest.
I'll be buying lamps, everyone.
Okay guys, well we're back online now. For some reason the video feed there just dropped, so everyone who was watching it unfortunately is now not on here, but hopefully they're going to find this over the course of the next few minutes. We were just talking about City then. Obviously good timing, well not good timing, it's a big change over the last few years from their fortunes. I remember one of my housemates at uni was a City fan, and was that 99 and then 2000 you got relegated, and then again. So to go from there to 2012 when you won the Premiership was quite an exciting journey for you. I'm assuming no one's going to make this feed before we're going to wrap the podcast up. So Ronnie, any closing bits of advice you've got? So you've got someone out there who is similar to the Ronnie of 18 months, 2 years ago. Doesn't necessarily have to be come and join here, although that'd be nice if they did. What general advice would you give to someone like that?
I'd say education more than anything. Learn about food. You know, I've watched a lot of documentaries, I've listened to podcasts, I've read a lot of stuff, and that, you know, once you get your head round the crap that these marketing people are putting out there, and if you look at food as just you want stuff that's only got one ingredient, you know, a chicken breast doesn't have a list of ingredients, you know, a chicken doesn't, a steak doesn't, you know, a carrot doesn't, broccoli doesn't, you know, a sweet potato doesn't. You know, they're just one ingredient items. If you live your life like that, it gets very simple and very easy.
That's the thing as well, keeping it simple. Again, there's lots of things out there. Again, they do work, and they're perhaps even reasonably healthy and okay and what have you, but they're just complicated and confusing and hard to follow and whatever. There may even potentially be better ways of doing it than we do, but if someone struggles to actually do it, implement it into their already busy, stressful life, then is it really better? In fact, one of the most important things I ever learned when I was an area manager for a company that ran the personal training for a number of health club chains was that the best thing to do is the thing that works. They'd asked us to put together some systems for helping the personal trainers in the clubs in our regions, and we all came up with ideas which were on paper brilliant. They were very advanced, there's a lot of really good stuff in there, but the average trainer just struggled to follow it. So in the end we came up with something that actually looked really simple, almost too simple, and there were better things that they could do, but it was something that the trainer could do. They could literally go out on the gym floor and do it, and it would work well enough so that they'd build a successful business and get enough clients and what have you. And exactly the same with this. Again, there might be slightly better ways to do it. I don't think they'd be drastically better, but there might be better ways of eating and what have you, but if you're not doing them because they confuse you and they bore you and you don't like it, then kind of pointless really.
I think it's sustainability, as we said several times earlier. You've got to be able to do it for the rest of your life. It's not a short-term fix. You can have a day, a week, a month away from it if you go away or anything. I went away this year, and a lot of people who are here will know that, you know, I face planted from too much drinking on the third day because I hadn't drunk for ages.
Planking on top of buildings as well.
Planking on top of buildings, yeah. But I lived like a king for 2 weeks and come back, and my weight hadn't changed drastically, but again I was so weak. But I just got my head down, and then carried on.
That's definitely a big mindset shift that people often have to take, is not to then write things off. So people have a bad meal, day, weekend, week, fortnight, or whatever it is.
It's gone now.
Yeah, exactly. That's in the past, get straight back on it. It's when you allow that fortnight to then become the rest of the year and think I'll restart in January, that's when it has huge.
Anything like that. There's never a reason to say, well, I'll start on that day. If you're going to do it, do it. You know, if you're not, stop talking about it. If you're going to do it, get on with it. The sooner you get stuck in, the sooner you'll feel better about it.
I think the big paradigm shift there is the way that you see the things. So people often, when they're doing exercise and eating healthier, shall we say, they see it as something they don't want to do. So then when they go off it for a little while, getting back on it is a hardship. I've actually got a blog, it's half written at the moment, but probably be out in the next week or so, whereas I use watching Corrie as a parallel. It can be any programme, it can be Game of Thrones, etc. If you miss an episode or two of Corrie, you wouldn't think, I'll just get back on it in January. You'd be straight back on it. You might take a little bit of catching up, and you might not get the full benefit you would if you watch every episode, but you wouldn't write off the rest of the month or the year for Corrie. You'd be back on it, and that's because you perceive Corrie as something that you want to do. So if exercise and healthy eating isn't something you want to do, then there's potential for firstly trying different things, different versions of it, to find a version that you are happy doing, and just challenging that mindset, just looking at things from a different perspective, but not seeing it so much as the the thing, the exercise, the diet plan or whatever it is, but the benefits that you get from it, the things that it brings to you, and then it's a lot easier then to want to get straight back on it, 'cause it's something that you want. You want to continue to be
I
healthy.
think the thing is as well is your training. I know a few people. I know Leanne says it a few times and all that, because she's a very hectic working mother, and that Amy the same, you know, and my thoughts are similar. That it's your time when you're training. If you switch it down to that's your sort of like leisure time, that's your fun bit, which is what I did. It then becomes, well, I'm doing that for me, I'm doing that to enjoy it, you know, and I train because I enjoy it now, and it's my bit of space, my bit of time, before the chaos of the day, you know, and that works for me because it makes it my bit of pleasure.
Yeah, so just checking back on the video feed that we lost a few minutes ago, there were a couple of questions been asked on there. Everyone says that my mum says you're excellent, very articulate and enthusiastic. That's nice. The main question we've got there, other than various compliments, is Emma saying, how do you manage your water intake?
Water for me is very, very simple. I learned early on the best plan was big bottles. So I have an 800ml bottle, glass bottle, that I use. But also what I found is when I'm training, because I'm training early morning, I go through about 1.5 litres. By the time I get home, I've drunk 1.5 litres of water. And I'm supposed to drink 4 litres of water a day. I'm well on my way. I'm nearly halfway by the time I finish training. But on average, I'm supposed to drink 4 litres a day. I drink between 6 and 8 most days. That's why I asked you the question yesterday about is it too much.
You can have too much, but that won't be too much.
No, but I drink between 6 and 8 litres, I'd say 6 days a week.
I find again, once you've made that change, you almost don't want to go back. You can't.
But also, you get thirsty. It sounds stupid, but if I don't have a drink every 20 minutes or so, I'm thirsty. I'm the
same. As soon as we're done, I'm going to get a bottle of water. I finish now. I'm getting thirsty.
Keep looking at the bottle. It's over there. But yeah, and I do. You know, even the workout bottle holds 1 litre of water with the BCAA in, and then.
I think your key take home from that you said there is have a system in place. Obviously, you've got your water there accessible, and get more of it in early in the day. I'm probably the same. I probably don't drink a massive amount of water late in the evening because I find if I am, I'm up a few times going to the toilet.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so
although it might be
I get to tea time and I slow down.
Yeah.
At tea time, sometimes I'll have a sat watching TV or whatever. I'm generally at work because I work 4 days a week in the office late on. I tend to get through even more water then because I'll just concentrate on the water because I'm working and it distracts me from food. If I'm going to be naughty, it's quite strange. It's when like a lot of people struggle at work with food. I'm the opposite. I take my food prepared and I just nail the water at work. But when I'm at home, I'll look in the fridge and everything every so often, like most people.
I think with the drinking water as well, as I mentioned before, a lot of people mistake thirst for hunger. So if you're getting plenty of water in you, and then you're still hungry, then that's fine.
Yeah,
eat away.
Again, I read that about a year ago, and I do that regular now. If I start feeling hungry, it might be about 11 o'clock in the morning, I start feeling a bit peckish. I'll go and have a good pint and a half of water and see. And like you said yesterday, if I'm still hungry, then I know I'm hungry, but if it goes away, I know it was actually thirst. I think it's like 40% of hunger, like you think you're hungry, is.
I've heard different stats, but whatever percentage is, even if it's 10%, if that then makes that 10% difference in terms of the volume of food you're then eating, that's a big difference maker. And the funny thing actually, when you look at the maths on people gaining weight, so like people often, I guess smart asses commenting on stuff on Facebook or replying to the blogs saying, don't you know it's just about energy in versus energy out? No. Haven't you heard about Newton's laws? And I'm like, yeah, that does apply. That is what is happening.
There's more energy in a steak than there is in a carrot. So
it is technically true. It is in a body that's gaining weight, obviously more energy is going in. A body that's losing weight, more energy is coming out. It's using that as step one, the first step of the approach that I don't think works.
Yes.
I think concentrating on getting quality food and you're getting the right balance, addressing sleep, stress, etc., then means that the energy balance thing just kind of happens itself rather than that being the thing you're trying to force to happen. But the interesting thing is, if you do maths on it, if you look at someone who's gained, let's say, 3 stone over 10 or 20 years, which is a fairly normal thing, that literally works out to be a few tens of calories per day.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first sort of read that, thinking that, is it really as simple as person A, who's gained 3 stone, has just accidentally eaten 20 or 50 more calories than their mate, person B, who's still slim?
No.
Well, it can't be. That's like a fraction of a mouthful of food, and there must be more to it than that. And that person has literally eaten that extra mouthful of food, or taken 100 less steps over the course of the day, or whatever it works out as. That's then what's happening further down the line. That energy balance differential.
But also, the way we work out calories is by burning the food, seeing how well it burns.
Yeah.
You know, how long it takes to burn everything else. How that's scientific, really, looking back at it, thinking about it, I just can't see it. Because you're not getting any nutritional information out of that, you know, out of the stuff that you're putting in. And that.
I've got another half-written blog at the moment as well. I read a proper scientific paper, so it's a full research paper, very well put together the other day, where it debunked a number of health and fitness and nutrition myths, and a number of them are things that I hold to be true. So I was interested to read it to say why they didn't think it was true. And they were basically saying that the balance of your foods doesn't matter, and hormones don't play that big a part. But the big phrase that kept jumping out at me was that they're saying when all else is corrected and adjusted. So basically they're saying that if you do
if you eat everything perfectly and do everything perfectly, then they don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But in real life that doesn't matter. that doesn't happen, should I say. In real life what happens is when you, let's say person A has a 500 calorie breakfast from cereal, person B has a 500 calorie breakfast from meat, nuts, eggs, berries, etc. If everything else in their day was exactly the same, if they then did exactly the same amount of physical activity, ate exactly the same for the rest of the day, then that wouldn't make a difference. Yeah. I know that, but actually what happens is that does make a difference. You can't take those things standing alone. That healthier breakfast should then mean you make better choices throughout the rest of the day. Yeah. You probably eat a little bit less, you probably be a little bit more physically active.
Just sustain you longer, that's the thing.
Yeah.
As well.
You can't take these things in isolation. You can't say all else being equal, because that works in a lab, but it doesn't work in real life. Every decision you make in the course of the day affects the decisions you make. And if that's all it is, if all having a better breakfast does means you make better decisions for the rest of the day, well, that has a huge benefit. Yeah. That's where your results will come from. We have got a question just popped up there. Emma saying tap water or bottled. There is research that shows that our tap water in the UK has the highest levels of estrogen in the whole world. So that's part of the reason why guys nowadays have moobs and bingo wings, and why in general people are storing a lot more fat around the traditionally female areas. In terms of addressing that, the best way to do it is with a good quality tap water filter plugged into your tap at home. Bottled water isn't necessarily much better. In terms of doing that, I find with most people they've got bigger wings, shall we say. I know people who've spent £500 getting a great filter fitted to their tap, but then still eat McDonald's and kebabs and what have you. And so if you've already addressed your eating, everything else is good, your sleep, your stress is sorted out, you're training properly and effectively, and you've still got a bit of spare cash, brilliant. Fit a reverse osmosis tap water filter to your tap, use aluminium rather than plastic storage bottles to take your water for the rest of the day, and that will get you better results. But like I said, I think there's bigger wins, shall we say.
We've got one on the fridge, a built-in filter.
Right, you've got one already there. Cool, easy. Awesome, well, I think that's probably covered everything. So a handful of people have rejoined the live feed now. Unfortunately, we lost the however many dozen people were on before, when I think we must have lost internet for a second. Any last thoughts, Ronnie, for those people watching and listening later on?
Well, just, if you're not here already, come and give it a go for 2 months. For anyone who's new, don't worry about the pain, because it will hurt, but it's short-lived, and you'll soon, very quickly, see the benefits. And if you're not doing Born Survivor, get on it. It'll be great. Definitely. Also, for anyone wondering why it looks like I've got eyeshadow on, that's actually a black eye. I kneed myself in the face the other day, which is entirely my own stupid fault, but I'm not wearing eyeshadow, I promise you. Not today, anyway. Awesome, right, Ronnie. Thanks for your time.